What is going on, friend? As always, it's great to see you. We have a pretty cool video here in front of you today, or that you're, well, not in front of you, but you're gonna be watching here today. 18 months in the doing. It's really, it's hard to believe that it's been a year and a half since I picked up my EOS R5. Now, in that time, this camera has really proven to be one of the best cameras. No, I'm gonna say this is the best camera that I've ever owned.
Why don't you make up your mind?
It simply does everything that I needed to do. Now, is it perfect? Oh, hell no. The whole overheating thing was pretty annoying, but there are certainly ways to work around that. And now in today's video, I'm going to share with you my experience with the R5 over the course of the last 18 months and explain why I think it's an ideal setup for hybrid shooters that do photography as well as videography, or videos rather. And since the EOS R5C is now part of the whole Canon lineup, why not do a quick comparison of the two cameras while we're at it? Now, the one thing that I've noticed here is since the R5C was announced, and more so after it was released, I've been getting a lot of questions from you folks, which is kind of what is the origin of this video, is really that has put a lot of drive behind it. I've been getting a lot of questions on whether or not, because many of you know, I shoot with the R5, that's this camera right here, and many of you have been wondering whether or not I was going to be making the move to the R5C, whether I was going to be adding the R5C. So you're going to find out my answer with that here in a bit as well. Now, all of that in just a minute, but first, guys, hey, two things here. First, we put these videos together to help you guys make educated decisions, keep on top of what is happening in the photography industry, or in this case, decide whether or not what camera you want to buy. Now, as I said in a previous video a little while back, these sort of videos, I always want to kind of approach with a kind of a delicate stance, shall we say. There's nothing wrong with watching videos like this and getting motivated or getting the information that you need to make a decision, but don't go buying a camera just because some person on YouTube says it's a great camera. This camera works well for me. So these sort of videos where I'm sharing with you what's in my camera bag or what camera gear that I'm using, this works for me. These cameras for my style of shooting, what I want out of gear, this stuff works well for me. So just keep that in mind. And along the process, if you find some value with this video, if you can do me a favor, hit that like button down below, because it really does help with the whole YouTube algorithm. And one other thing before we get on to the good stuff here, 2 days ago in Photography Talk episode that we released this week, we announced that we have a massive 35% coupon, the first coupon that we've done in 5-6 years, because, well, you guys have been so kind to remind us that we haven't had one in a while. So we launched it. It's called Be Awesome. The coupon code is Be Awesome. I need one of those bouncing balls on the screen here. Anyways, you jump over to Photography Talk, sign up for a free account, and then select one of our premium memberships or some of our courses that we offer there. Put in the coupon code Be Awesome, and friend, you're getting a 35% discount. So that's the coupon code that you guys have wanted. The last one that we did 5-6 years ago was only for 20%. So we're giving you guys exactly what you wanted. Yeah, we're a little slow moving with it, but we got you the coupon code. Now, with all that out of the way, pull up a seat in. Let's go. Now, I don't think any of you are going to be surprised to find out that the R5 has been a really good camera for me over the course of the last 18 months. As many of you know, I'm a hybrid shooter, so I shoot a lot of photography as well as videos. The R5 has simply been a very valuable asset for both pursuits. Now, when I'm shooting still photos, the R5 is my go-to camera. Since I pretty much shoot landscapes, I often have, boy, you know what? Let me take that back. I was gonna say I often have the R1535 2.8 on my camera, but I'm gonna take that back. It's more than often. It's about 95% of the time. When I'm shooting these videos right now, the 1535 is almost 98%. Actually, it's 99% of the time it's on this camera. When I'm shooting stills, when I'm shooting landscapes, because I love landscapes, it is on my camera probably about 97-ish%. I absolutely love this lens. Now, ironically, when I shoot video with the R5, I often have the 1535 lens on the camera as well, which I just said that. But in both cases, having the ultra wide option in the fast 2.8 lens aperture is really fun. Now, there's gonna be more on that in a bit, because actually recently I picked up the F4 That's a 14 to 35 millimeter, and I'm really liking this lens. It's a lot lighter. But also, full disclosure, the R5 is not my primary camera for video. For that, I'm using the R6. So for videos like this, the footage that you are seeing, the alternate camera angle right here is B-roll, and that's all done with my R5, while the primary footage is coming from the R6. But in my opinion, the R5 is a better all-purpose camera than the R6. So if I could only have one of them, man, it's gonna be the R5. Now you may remember that one of the reasons that I got the R5 in the first place was because it was the perfect camera for my workflow. Now at the time I had the EOS R, which was a cool camera, which I used for photography, and I used the M50 Mark II, which I used for videos. But carrying these two cameras around with two different lens types was a huge drag. Now the R5 solved my problem, and it's kind of funny how I still ended up with two cameras though. At least both of them are using the same lens platform. But what's really, just talking about this right now kind of reminded me, before I jumped onto the Canon boat, I had the Nikon Z7, which was a freaking awesome camera. I loved it. It was the best camera for shooting stills in my opinion. And then I had the Panasonic GH6, and then I had the Sony, the hell was that? I had that Sony, I'm having a brain fart right now. I gotta look this up. It's gonna bug me if I don't tell you what Sony that I had.
Few moments later.
A6500. That's it. Jeez, that would have bugged the hell out of me. That was a fun little camera. So I'm talking about the whole idea behind this, and I spoke about this already, but if you've never watched some of my older videos, this will help you understand how I ended up at Canon after shooting Nikon for so long. But at that point, I was starting to do a lot more videos, and while the Z7 was awesome for shooting stills, it wasn't as strong as it wasn't what I needed for videos or what I wanted out of videos. The Panasonic did a great job, and that was at 2017. That camera was freaking awesome. And the Sony, I used the Sony more for B-roll. But that was a big pain in the ass because, then I was heading out with Sony lenses. I was heading out with Sony batteries. I was heading out with Panasonic lenses, Panasonic batteries, Nikon lenses. My camera bags were huge. So anyway, the R5 is a great all-around camera for my needs. Now, what else do I like about it? Let's find out. Now, the 45 megapixel sensor is absolutely fantastic. The image quality that you get from the sensor is some of the best that I've ever seen. Now, the dual pixel autofocus system is super fast and accurate. Now, the head face eye tracking is superb. Now, there is 5,940 autofocus points for still photos. And if you're shooting video, there's 4,500 autofocus points for that. Now, this does have 5-axis IBIS system that offers up to 8 stops of stabilization. Now, that is depending upon which lens is being used. Now, I absolutely love the huge, here we go, boom, 3.15-inch articulating LCD screen. Now, the OLED EVF has 5,690K dots, and 120 frames per second refresh rate isn't bad either. Now, the capability of shooting up to 20 frames per second with the electronic shutter is really nice, though I really don't shoot in continuous mode that often, but let's be real here, it's still nice to have. Now, the ergonomics, see, this is one of the discussions that you guys have seen me talk about before. When I was with Nikon, I absolutely loved the ergonomics of the Nikon cameras. I've always struggled with Sony, and then when I got the EOS R, I was like, wow, this feels really good. The R5, man, it doesn't get better. The ergonomics are so great. Now, it's slightly bigger than the EOS R that I had, with a little bit more weight to it, and it really feels fantastic in the hands. Now, the battery life is excellent, but if you use it works best with the actual Canon batteries itself. I've tried some third-party batteries, and they simply can't match the performance of the name brand ones. Now, of course, I'm going to close this segment off, or this part off, with the RF lenses. lineup is absolutely fantastic, and it gets more excellent with every passing year. Canon is just doing a great job with the ecosystem of lenses available for these RF or for these R series cameras. Now, considering how unimpressive the EOS R was in some respects, the fact that the EOS R5 is this good really makes it even more impressive of a camera. And I know Canon was a little slow to the whole mirrorless party, but the R5, boy, was definitely worth the wait. Now, as I said earlier, this is not a perfect camera by any stretch of the imagination. Obviously, the biggest gripe, actually the only gripe that I have about this camera, has been the overheating issue when shooting video. Now, Canon released a firmware update that it does work well to minimize the overheating problem for a lot of people. And honestly, guys, because my videos are usually, for the most part, 10 to 20 minutes in range, I haven't had to deal with the overheating problem nearly as much as other people. Now, where I have run into it, if I'm doing back-to-back videos, that's where I've walked in early on with this camera. That's where I walked into some of the overheating problems. Now, additionally, I invested in a Atomos Ninja V to handle video recording. So with it taking over recording duties from the camera, the overheating issue really hasn't become a problem. Now, another downside with this camera is the 30-minute video recording, and I'm pausing because I just said that there's only one thing. Okay, so there's two things that kind of irk me a little bit. The 30-minute video recording to limit was a little bit of a pain in the rear. Again, this isn't something that I really come up a lot against because my videos are, for the most part, shorter than that. But again, for the rare moments that it is over 30 minutes, the Atomos Ninja V really takes care of the time limit issues. Still, if I were to change anything about this camera, it would be to resolve the overheating in the recording time limits that are in this camera. Now, of course, Canon has done that with the EOS R5C camera. Now, the R5C has a built-in active cooling that really prevents the camera from overheating, or well, that's what Canon is saying at this point. Now, there's also unlimited recording of up to 8K at 60p. Now, the sacrifice, if you want to call it that, is that the R5C has a huge body to accommodate that active cooling. So it's an R5 with an added, chunky little thing on the back of it in there. Now, I don't have an R5C, so I really can't speak of how the added bit on the back really affects the ergonomics, but I imagine that it makes it a little bit harder to handle the camera. Now, the R5C and the R5 actually weigh about the same at 1.7 pounds, so there's really not a big weight difference to really fuss about. Now I know what you're thinking.
Alex, which camera would I choose?
Why am I saying? Well, because you guys have asked that question quite a bit here recently. Stick with the R5 or ditch it to go with the R5C. Well, let me start by saying these cameras share a lot in common. Now, they do have the same sensor, they have the same EVF, they have the same LCD. Now, they have the same button layout, 2 card slots in the same ports. Now, they even use the same lenses, of course, which are the RF lenses. Now, they have roughly the same dynamic range, and just as I mentioned before, they're about the same weight. So from those perspectives, these cameras they're a bit of a wash. However, there are some differences. Now, obviously, the R5C gets props for in-camera cooling and no recording limits, but the R5C doesn't have IBIS, which was a big fat buzzkill, which also seems like a misfire from Canon, if you ask me. And then there's also the price. The R5 is currently $38.99, while the R5C is $4,499. Now, is the additional cooling system and the no recording limits worth another $600? I think it really depends on what your specific needs are. Again, going back to the beginning of this discussion here, know what your specific needs are. For me, look, if you need a camera and you're primarily shooting stills, but you use it for occasional videos, and I don't know why I'm saying occasional, I shoot more than occasional videos, but I'd rather take the R5 and the Atomos Ninja V. The Ninja V is $600 at the moment, so you can actually pick up one and then slap it on top of your R5 for the same price as an R5C. But you get the advantage of having IBIS and having a smaller camera body, which personally, I think is much preferred as a photographer. Now, if you're heavier more on the video side, obviously the R5C makes a very strong argument for being the better option here. It's hard to argue against the unlimited 8K video recording in the camera, and besides, the Atomos Ninja V only records 4K 60, which is well, anyways, that's perfect for my shooting because most of the videos like these right here, I shoot in 4K 30. But for someone that shoots more video, well, it might not be enough. Now, at the end of the day, the R5 has proven to be an ideal rig for me. It does everything that I need it to do for shooting photos and video, and admittedly, with a little help from the Atomos there. The last 18 months of using this camera has been an absolute treat. So much so that I really have no reason to go out and buy an R5C. So if you're like me, and from a from a photography and videography needs standpoint, I really can't recommend a better camera at this point. The R5 is really that good. And if you want to pick up an R5, be sure to click in the link in the description below to order one of those suckers today. And actually, I think that's another plus with it right now. So in 2022, I suspect getting your hands on a R5 is going to be a hell of a lot easier than getting your hands on a R5C at this point with all the chip shortages and all that other stuff. But anyways, if you're a videographer and want to pre-order an R5C, well, I'm going to put a link in the description as well. With you guys, that is a wrap for this video with the discussions. Now let's shift over and talk about the prizes that we are giving away this month. We have an f-stop Lotus bag, we have a Peak Design duffel bag, and of course, the old faithful $100 Adorama gift card. As always, entering the giveaway is really simple. Step 1, like this video, subscribe to our channel. Step 2, leave a comment below. In fact, the more of our videos that you watch and leave a comment on, the more chances that you have to win. So get watching some other videos and leave some comments. Step 3, register on PhotographyTalk and introduce yourself in the form. Now, if you happen to register on the site during one of the last giveaways, friend, you're still eligible to win, but as I keep saying over and over again, swinging by, say hello. We would love to see you. And friend, that is it. For complete details on the giveaway, including how to register on PhotographyTalk or how to say hello in the forum, check out the description below. Good luck. And one last thing before we go jumping off here today, if you enjoy this sort of content, be sure to head over to PhotographyTalk to sign up for an account. Now, it is free to do so. It's that 4-letter word that we all like, and it gives you access to 1,000 photography-related articles on the site, including news articles about camera gear, photography tutorials, and much, much more. Now, if you want a supercharged experience, we have all sorts of courses on there made available for you right now. Actually, you can utilize that coupon code that I plugged in the beginning of this video, that Be Awesome, which is the name of the coupon code, Be Awesome. 2 words, and you're going to save 35%. So anyways, take a moment, sign up for an account. You want the additional stuff, sign up for one of our courses, utilize that code, and get access to material that will help you take your best shot. And friend, that is all I have for you. Now it's that time of the video where I'm going to ask you to do all that YouTube stuff that is oh so valuable to the channel. If you found some value with this video, hit that like button down below. If you're currently not subscribed to the channel, friend, what are you waiting for? We'd love to have you part of the family. And last but not least, kick that bell so therefore you're notified every single time that I come out with a video like this. And yeah, that's it. Now I'm going to go down to my garage and clean up a mess. I'm going to be shooting a video down there for my other company tomorrow, so I got to get that all ready. So you get out there, stay healthy, and take your best shot.